Why would I do this? Why? Awesome. Now my hair is gonna be a mess. Yeah. My tea is too hot. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Happy Monday. Hopefully this isn't too irrelevant to everybody because I'm going to talk about parenting a little bit, and I know not all of you are parents, but some of you are, and some of you might be someday. I'm pretty sure you all have parents, and besides, there's a little bit of relevance anyways, so just stick with me. Just stick with me. Just for a minute. We've talked before about my mom passing away, and I was 21 when that happened, but my little brother was 14. And that gave me the amazing privilege and opportunity to have this small part in raising him throughout his teenage years. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not taking a whole lot of credit here because I got him through high school, but the foundation of who he was going to be as a person, that was already there. You know, my mom did all of the heavy lifting. I washed his basketball uniforms and bought him clothes that he kept growing out of. Seriously, the kid is tall. But while everyone on the outside looking in saw it as me raising my little brother, it's really more accurate to say that he was raising me. Years and years before I will someday be a parent, my little brother taught me how to be one. He taught me how to parent a teenager, which I think arguably is hard for anybody to do, whether you had the experience of being a parent up until that point or not. And most importantly, he taught me how to be a parent who trusted God. And that's what we're talking about today. See, I had this verse that I clung to during his teenage years that arguably got us both to where we are today. And that is Proverbs 22 verse 6. Start children off in the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not part from it. And I used to repeat that to myself all the time. Like, okay, you gotta do this. Start him off in the way he should go. Start him off. Start him off. Like, it's all on you. Start him off. I used to pray it over him all the time, and I used to cry this out to God on those times when I was literally crying because raising a teenager is hard and I'm emotionally unstable 97% of the time. I would cry it out to God in those times when he didn't want to talk to me, when he didn't trust me, when he didn't like me very much, because teenagers will do that, you know? And no matter how normal that phase of life is, to dislike your parents or your big sister, it still broke my heart. My younger brother and I have always been really, really close. And I've always taken the role of being his big sister very seriously. His kindergarten teacher even joked at his open house and said to my mom and I, "Oh, so he has two moms." And I thought, yeah, that's my kid. And ever since then, I guess he always has been. But it became more of a weighted responsibility when my mom passed away, because the last words that I ever heard my mom say just coincidentally happened to be asking me where my little brother was. And even though she only meant that in like a, where is his physical location at the time, in that moment that became my job, that became my purpose, to know where my little brother is in everything. Where he is physically, where is he emotionally, where is he with God, where is he in life, where is he in his relationship with me, where is he? And the trouble with teenagers is they don't want you to know where they are, ever, in anything, because they are trying to have their own freedom and try to grow into themselves, and I just always wanted to know. And I know that that got annoying, and I know that I took it a little too seriously sometimes. I was so afraid of failing him, and so afraid of failing my mom, and so afraid of failing God in this role that he had placed me in my brother's life, that I stopped really being a good big sister. And I was more concerned with just making it all work on paper. You know, if I dragged John to church, and if I made sure he did all of his homework, and I made sure he applied for college, and if we did all of those things, then John was going to be fine. But that's not really how life works. People are not pieces of a puzzle that just fit together. Your teenager is not just another piece that fits into some puzzle somewhere. You can't force those things to just work out. Eventually I got to a point where I realized that wasn't working, and I threw my hands up and I just trusted God that he has to love my little brother more than I do. I don't think that there is another person on the planet who could possibly love my little brother more than I do, but I know that Christ does. And so I had to take God up on that promise that's in that verse. All he asked me to do, and all he asked my mother to do, was set the foundation to start him off. And then from that point on, God's in charge of it. End of story. Point blank. Trust me, and it'll be okay. Because that's what God does. God sticks to his word. He sticks to his promises to you. That's why I wanted to make this video today. Because Sunday morning, I'm standing in the tech booth, clicking buttons, and in walks this incredibly handsome and tall young man who looks a lot like me, except more rugged and manly. And he looks around the worship center to see where I am. Now, being the incredibly intelligent and forgetful young man that he is, he doesn't ever think to look in the tech booth. So I got to watch him look for me for a while. He didn't find me. So then I got to watch him go and sit on his own in the spot he likes to sit in and enjoy church and enjoy worship. I realized it a while ago that God had come through on his promise, as he always does. But I was reminded of it today when I got to see him look for me, when I got to see him wonder where I was. That God just goes above and beyond what he promises to you. Because if I could have anything in this world, it would be for my younger brother to know that he is loved by God and to love God in return. And he does. And it would just be icing on the cake for him to know that I love him and for him to love me in return. And he does. And so I want to encourage you, if you have a teenager, keep sticking with it. I know that they're tough, but they're probably going to turn out pretty okay, because if you're that worried about it, it's probably because you love them, and I'm sure that they're going to be great as long as you just trust God in it. And whether you have kids or not, you have to learn how to trust God in everything. You have to trust God in your shortcomings, because you can't do it. You can't. But God doesn't expect you to. He expects you to take the responsibility that he has given you and give it back to him. That's what I did. I took this responsibility that I was trusted with, and I handed it back to him, and it turned out better than I ever could have imagined. Every single day, I am more amazed with the young man that my younger brother has become, and I love watching him grow more and more every day and become more passionate about the things that he's passionate about. And I can't wait to see what happens next, because I know it's going to be great, because that's what God does. That's what I want you to do this week. Trust God in any and all things, whether you're a parent or not. And I'll see you on Monday. Oh, and call your parents and thank them for being so patient through your teenage years.